Hi, I'm Daniel Kafer. I'm here in Cyprus. I'm going to talk about AGI lifestyle. So in other words, what would our lifestyle look like after we have more advanced AI that could replace the jobs as we know them today. So I think what I hear from most people is that they are concerned. And of course, I understand that. But then it kind of struck me that my own lifestyle kind of resembles a post-AGI lifestyle where you would receive some form of universal basic income. So, let's talk about it and do enjoy the view behind me. So of course, there is no UBI yet. There is no universal basic income yet. And AI has not yet replaced our jobs, but it definitely could happen. So why does my lifestyle resemble an AGI lifestyle? Well, basically because I decided to step out of the corporate career race when I was 50, so that's about a year ago, and instead adopt a lifestyle where I would be more in the gig economy and only take on projects that really interest me. And at the same time, I refocus my priorities. So the first priority is now staying in good shape. So basically my health and aging as slowly and healthily as possible. So I guess many of you know this, if you have a demanding career, that often the career comes first, then the family, and then the health. And sometimes after the career and the health tasks, you simply don't have energy to do much about your health. At least that is pretty much what happened to me. And then I decided, well, I would rather try something else. And if you try to look at the math, it's actually quite depressing when you look at aging, right? So men on average die around 78 years old, depending a little bit where you come from. But our healthy lifespan is only like 70 years old. So if you work till you're like 65 or 68 or even 70, well, you might not have any healthy lifespan left before you retire. And I didn't want that to happen to me. And I also think one of the really interesting things now is that so much is being done now in terms of longevity research that the dividends you might actually get from living 10 more healthy years due to your lifestyle might actually give you 20, 30 or 40 more healthy years because rejuvenation therapies are being worked on, and they might actually be ready in, well, the 2030s or the 2040s, but obviously you need to be alive and I suppose in reasonably good health to be able to take advantage of them. So what does that mean? So I quit my corporate job when I was 50, and I decided to live off, well, unfortunately there's no universal basic income at the moment. So I'm living off my stock portfolio, where I give myself an allowance of about $1,500 per month per member of the family, which is enough for a decent life. That's one of the reasons also we moved to Cyprus, because it keeps the cost of living down at a reasonable rate. So it's not like super cheap living here, but it is reasonable. And this is also, I think, realistic in a post-AGI economy. I think artificial intelligence will have helped us produce most goods at a much lower cost. I have other videos talking about that, but it seems plausible. So you could say I made my own UBI, Universal Basic Income, and then I'm in, let's say, the gig economy, where I mainly pick and choose things that I find interesting. Like I do these videos, I'm writing a new book on the future and artificial intelligence. I'm doing keynotes in different countries. For example, I'm going to Bangkok in 2 weeks, and then right after that I'm doing another keynote in Denmark, where I come from. you might say, okay, but your situation is different, right? You had some pretty high earning jobs, and you were able to save up a big amount of money to put in a stock portfolio. And that is true, but on the other hand, in say 10 or 15 years, it is the hope that AI will have advanced to a point where the GDP of countries has also grown quite a lot. And for that reason, it could be possible to pay out a UBI equivalent to what I'm actually drawing from my stock portfolio. So I don't think it's unrealistic. So what else does the UBI AGI lifestyle actually give? Well, I think it gives a lot of freedom. It gives a lot of time in nature. And most importantly, well, I never dread working because I work on the projects that I want to work on. And if I one day just want to take my bike and enjoy this beautiful landscape, that is just what I'll do. It also adds a lot of quality time with the family, which I think is super important. And I think once you start focusing on your health, you make sure that you always sleep well. You don't travel at night on business travel. You don't stress about work. And most of all, you prioritize health before work, right? Because it is way more important in the long run, right? So I think that will definitely give not only many more joyful years, but it will also provide more years in good health than the alternative. So I'm thinking changing my lifestyle up here in my early 50s might give me 5 to 10, maybe more years just in terms of lifestyle priority. But I think the dividend is a lot higher than that because with the longevity research we're seeing right now, well, there's definitely promise that we can slow down aging, maybe even reverse aging, who knows. And I also do separate videos on that, but we've already seen something called the Rejuvenation Olympics, where we're seeing people who only age about 60% compared to the average human aging 100%. So after 6 years, they would have, after 10 years, they would have only aged 6 years, right? So, and that's mainly down to lifestyle and supplements, something pretty much everybody can do if they have the time and the will strength to do it, right? And then we have other quite hopeful experiments, you could call it, on gene manipulation and cellular treatments and telomere lengthening treatments and getting rid of zombie cells. And it's just some of these actually work on humans. We are looking at longer, not just lifespans, but also health spans. So my point is here that if you can actually, by lifestyle, give yourself another 10 years, you might actually be giving yourself another, not 10, but 15, 20, 30, 40, or even more years. So I'm not one to say that we can live eternally. I don't know, but if you listen to for example, Kurzweil or Dr. Albright, they think we're actually pretty close to stop aging and reversing it. So if that is true, well, then you would say the return on living healthy now is really, really high. One more thing I wanted to talk about was setting goals. Once we get to AGI, here I'm talking about personal goals. So what could an AGI lifestyle goal look like? So I've been thinking about that a little bit, and so of course there's still the money bit, but let me start with my crazy AGI lifestyle goal. I've always been, you would say, in decent shape, probably also always a little bit stronger than the average man of my size, my height, and my age. I think until I hit 40, then I did not spend a lot of time in the gym. Me and my wife, we had 2 kids. So suddenly by late 40s, early 50s, or I am early 50s, I think I was actually weaker than the average man my age for the first time ever. So I want to do something about that, and I've started, so I've cheated a little bit. But so my crazy AGI lifestyle goal is to defeat my 20-year-old self. So, well, yeah, a little bit like a boxing match between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, only my opponent is myself when I was 20 years old. So what does that mean? Well, it means that I want to be able to do all the feats that I was able to do at 20, which was, I think, pretty much my physical peak. So I've selected a few things, like how many push-ups can I do, how much can I bench press, how fast can I run a 5-kilometer run. So I think these are reasonable benchmarks for how strong and healthy you are. So what I decided is that I can still pretty much remember my peaks, and now I tested myself, and obviously I'm quite below. So on push-ups, I can barely do 30 today. When I was down at the lowest point, I could hardly do 15, so it's already better. In terms of bench press, this is probably where I lost the most strength. So I used to be able to do, well, at least like 75 kilos a few times. And now I can probably do 50 kilos with the same number of reps. And in terms of running, I've always been a super bad runner, but at my peak I could run 5 kilometers in about 25 minutes. And now, well, I can't really run 5 kilometers, but so the goal is to actually beat all these stats I had at 20 before the end of the year. And the final one would be my weight. So I used to be around 71, 72, and now I'm more like 80 or 79. So I also want to get down to that level. And so you can probably say, well, Daniel, that's nothing special, and you would be right. But on the other hand, you could say these were my best feats ever, and now I'm 30 years older than when I set those feats. So by no way is it going to be easy, but I'm going to eat my vitamins and go to the gym at least a few times, at least 3 or 4 times every week to actually hit these goals. And this will be my first way of showing myself that I can actually make my body younger again. So I'm not going to make workout videos. There are many people who are way better at that than me, so I'll not bore you with that, but I can show you some of the progress, and feel free to laugh at me if I do not reach this goal. So I do have some other AGI goals, and maybe they can inspire you. So the other goal is to influence the way people look at a post-AGI lifestyle, that they stop worrying so much about it and instead adopt a strategy so their own post-AGI lifestyle can become better. And this is probably my idea with this video, to kind of show you my post-AGI lifestyle, if you can call it that, and say, hey, it might actually be pretty good. It might actually be something you would want. There are lots of benefits to it. We simply need to just find a solution of how can we afford it. And I do think, I'll get much more into that. I think AI will help us afford having a lot more time for our health and our children, and to work with stuff that really interests us. Because let's be honest, right? I mean, we don't all love to go to work 9 to 5. Lots of people actually would love to quit their job and do something else. And I think AI actually enables this. But there are going to be some bumpy years. I think there's no doubt about that. But this is where, let's talk about it. Let's try and strategize it together. But some of the goals I have, outside of getting in much better shape, is going to be to make a a positive impact. So people believe that UBI will be a positive thing, and so they won't kind of try to reject AI, but they will work with it instead of against it. So that's definitely one. The other one is both my parents were artists. My mother was an architect and my dad was a composer. So especially within that field, I'm also keen to see if I can do a contribution to make artists transition and continue to be artists, but evolve with AI, so that AI is not used to copy the art we know today, but instead so AI is used to create something new. I think a good example of this would be synthesizers, right? Some people, they use the synthesizers to copy what instrument sounds like, and in many ways it was just a bad copy, right? But synthesizers on their own are also really interesting. They make different sounds, and I think it will be the same with AI music. I think it will be the same with AI painting and art. I think AI can add something, but what it should not add is just take away what people are doing. It should add an extra layer.